Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to talk about operational flexibility, what is operational flexibility and what is the importance of that in business studies terms. So operational flexibility can be defined as the ability of a business to vary the level of production and range of products in response to consumer demands. So it's basically being flexible in your operations in order to meet the changing. It is very important in not ever changing business, a dynamic business environment. Since the business dynamism is there, business and external environment is not constant, it's always changing. There's some competition is coming, or there's innovations some taking place, or perhaps there's a change in demand. So the ability of business to vary their level of production accordingly and meet the consumer demands, that is what operational flexibility is. Now flexibility might be achieved by having a flexible and adaptable workforce, or a flexible flow line production equipment, and increasing capacity by purchasing more equipment and logistics. So basically, if you are a labor intensive business, you can have a flexible and adaptable workforce that can just produce accordingly, and what is the quality should be there, and what sort of quantity is required, so that adaptable workforce can produce that particular quality and that particular quantity as well. The flow line production is also needed if you're capital intensive business, perhaps, like your equipment should not just focus on with one particular product. They might want some different sort of product, so the equipment should be flexible enough so that you can change a little bit of it and it can produce accordingly. And you can also increase your capacity by purchasing more equipment and logistics in case the demand for your product has particularly increased, and you can just make use of that demand to increase your sales. So in order to get a better sales and better profit, you just increase your capacity by purchasing more equipment and logistics so that you can supply more. Innovation is basically the use of new or improved processes. It might be achieved by developing new products or new production processes, or use of CAD and CAM, or training and restructuring of the workforce. So any of these could be used, for innovation, and innovation is basically use of improved processes. And that's basically about what innovation is. And when we say improved processes, then we already discussed about what are the benefits and drawbacks of CAD and CAM, or new production processes as well. Training and restructuring of workforce is basically like you train your workforce with the new environment, that is the new machineries that might be used, or the new practices that are being used. Perhaps you train them so that they can adjust to the business environment, what does the business requires of them, and so that you can restructure your workforce as well accordingly to the needs of the consumers. Now we have importance of operational flexibility. Operational flexibility is needed to match or better the offerings of competitors in terms of design and delivery time. It is needed to improve the manufacturing process to ensure high quality and quicker production to meet consumer needs. Now, of course, you need operational flexibility to overcome your competition, or at least match them in terms of design and delivery time. You have to not just produce good quality but also good quantity, so that you can compete against your other rival businesses. It is also needed to improve your manufacturing process and ensure that you have a high quality and quick production, not just quick high quality but also quicker production. Then your long delivery times might lead to a loss of customers, so you need to have operational flexibility so that you can have shorter delivery times. If it takes too much time for you to deliver your product to the consumers, then they might perhaps have a change of firms. The business might need to remain flexible to enable customization of some items. So as we said, that it's not that you produce just one standardized item. There might be a change in demand completely, then consumers might want a different product perhaps. So you need to be able to customize your machineries or workforce, so that you can produce some other customized items as well. As a large manufacturer, the business might depend on large orders from retailers, but the flexibility to be able to meet small or one-off orders might prove profitable. So perhaps you just want large orders from retailers, but if you are flexible enough, you might be also be able to meet small or one-off orders, which might prove profitable to the business. So that's all about operational flexibility and its importance. So now let's talk about process innovation. What is process innovation? Process innovation can be defined as the use of new or improved production methods or service delivery methods, the way in which an organization adopts or devises new manufacturing or service methods. So it all depends upon what sort of niche business you are. If you're a product business, then it's all about manufacturing and new production methods. But if you're a service business, then it's all about how you can deliver your service, and all about devising new and adopting new service methods. It can, if we talk about production methods, then it can even be as simple as changing from batch to flow production. This will also count as process innovation. But of course, it's not that simple always. There will be some changes. So yeah, now we have use of process innovation. So process innovation, how is it used? Introducing a new, more cost-effective machine to produce a product which increases the speed of production and reduces the number of errors. So if you can use machineries, for example, that is also counted as process innovation, whereby you just increase the speed of production and there's less chances of errors. Because unlike workers, machines won't require rest or holidays except for a few maintenance costs and once in a while, perhaps, therefore saving materials and time. So overall, you're saving your material, you're saving your time, and having a more cost-effective production method. For a manufacturing business, moving to a more streamlined production system, such as switching from batch to flow, will also count as production process innovation. We just talked about that. Like, it's more better because you can have more products made, and there's no time lost between switching from batch to flow, from one batch to another. It has its own pros and cons. We will refer to that in the production methods part of this chapter. Okay. When we talk later about what are these different production methods, we don't talk about them in a separate video, so we can link to that. But for now, I can tell you that when you are using batch production, you make one batch at a time, so there's a time loss between one batch to another. When in flow production, there's just a streamlined production, one product after another, so there's no time lost, and it can produce more in less time as compared to batch production. There's computerized stock control, which allows automatic reordering when stocks reach a certain level, also known as reorder level. So when your stocks have decreased to a certain reorder level, then automatically your computer orders more stocks. So so that when the demand is, so that you can have that order before you are run out of stocks. You completely run out of stocks, so you don't have to place an order of stocks when you're completely out of it. You place an order when you have reached this reorder level. Okay, that's the whole idea. Use of CAM and CAD, like computer aided manufacturing, computer aided designing. We already talked about that in previous videos, so there's pros and cons already discussed before, so you can check that out. It provides customers with specific time guaranteed delivery, specifically applicable for delivery businesses. So if you're delivery businesses, you can provide customers with a specific time guaranteed delivery, that okay, within this so and so time we will deliver your product to you. So that could be use of process innovation as well. Or using trading systems that give customer delivery specific information of the delivery process, such as the current location of their order and how much time it will take to arrive, etc. All this will also count as process innovation. So these are just two examples for delivery businesses. There could be lots of other businesses and lots of different examples, so you can check that out as well. For now, this much information is more than enough. Now, what is the importance of process innovation? Okay, so process innovation is very important. It can reduce costs by improving production methods, like possibly introducing or increasing the use of automation or robotics, which can improve the quality of products such as car components. You are improving your quality by using less materials, and also increasing your quantity. You can increase the speed of production, which leads to a shorter waiting time for consumers, and that means you're just producing more quantity in less time. So increasingly, consumers nowadays want faster delivery, both businesses and finance, both business and private customers. So if you're using GIT, then fast and reliable suppliers are required, so fast deliveries can be made. So that's why process innovation is important, that if you're not using GIT, then you can just use automation or perhaps faster production methods, so that you can meet your customer requirements as fast as possible. But if you're using GIT, then you need to have fast and reliable suppliers, so that you can just work accordingly, so that whenever you place an order, when the business places an order on you, you can place the order to your suppliers and get the order ready ASAP. We're going to talk about detail of GIT in the inventory chapter, so you can look at that if you can't understand it. For now, let's just focus on this point, that it can increase the speed of production, which leads to shorter waiting time for customers. Then competing on price might be difficult for some businesses due to the high initial cost of process innovation and using in machineries, for example. Like if you're using machineries for process innovation, then your initial cost will be high, because of which you can't compete on price. But if you are competing on quality, then there might be benefits to be gained. So if if you're using process innovation, then your quality will improve. There will be high initial cost perhaps, but thanks to your good quality, that means you don't have to lower your prices to competitors. Your quality is good, or perhaps you can even increase your prices and still get a large number of customers, and because of that you can have potential increase in sales and as well as increase in profit. It is one of the most important factors that determines the competitiveness of a business. So, if the business is one of the more dominant businesses in the market, then process innovation might be essential for that dominance to be maintained and for repeat orders. So, if you are, let's say, market leader, or you have the most greatest amount of market share in your industry, then you need to have process innovation in order to continue dominating that market, in order to continue remaining competitive in the market. However, if your business is a smaller firm, then the relative cost might be too high when compared to the possible gains to be made. So the initial cost of process innovation is very high, and since it's already competitive, then you might not be able to compete regularly. So it's a better idea that way, that you just stay a smaller firm. But if you want to take a risk, it is riskier, but it has its own pros and cons. Like if you are able to survive that initial stage of, if you have a good plan and you can devise a good cash flows initially, because there will be a lot of cash outflows and it will take a lot of time for you to increase your sales. But if you can manage that somehow by having some good plans, then it's also a good option for small businesses to go for process innovation. But generally, if you're a big business, then it is essential that you have process innovation to continue dominating the market, as process innovation is one of the most important factors that determines competitiveness of a business. So do keep that in mind. And thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz.